at the same time. So officially, welcome all to the Fast and Not So Furious QBRs. I am Marnie Stockman, CEO of Lifecycle Insights. So we aim to automate the pieces of a QBR that should be automated and aim to really help you deliver strategy in a QBR. So as I was mentioning, I'm interested in F1 racing primarily for the strategic pieces, less about the tactical pieces of cars. That is my son's passion. But why people would use soft, medium, or hard tires versus, at some point in a race, and the strategy behind it had me intrigued. So I thought it would be a fun little twist on, as I walk through Lifecycle Insights, to kind of compare it to an F1 race. So the first piece is, in a race, you have the start, the finish, and the strategy. So let's talk about what that looks like for a business review. So the start should really come with an agenda that shows how you're going to deliver value at the end of the race, right? At the end of the meeting. By the way, I am well aware that that is a fairly small size screenshot. So I will include in the email afterwards a download of what we call the QBR your customer deserves. So I will send you a sample doc of all of this. So you're welcome to screenshot it, but also don't feel like you have to enlarge that 8 times just to be able to read what's in the agenda. So don't worry, you will get that full link. But what do we cover in the agenda? So first, the important piece of the agenda, as I mentioned, is to talk about how you're going to deliver value in the meeting. We highly recommend sending an agenda 2 or 3 weeks in advance and having it be a collaborative agenda. So you should learn lessons from us so that you don't have to make the same mistakes yourself. When I first started doing business reviews, I mentioned in the agenda that we were going to talk about a ticket review, and I just planned on doing a high level summary, but I didn't outline that as an expectation. And when I got to the business review, I was waylaid by an inundation of basically an autopsy of every ticket that they were angry about or hadn't liked over the past year. It wasn't a strategic conversation. It definitely didn't feel good. I left that meeting and people were saying I was catching bullets with my teeth, which seemed unacceptable for somebody who was just planning on being a customer success manager, not in armed forces of any kind. Oh, I definitely will do that, Reggie. So thanks for putting that in the chat. So let me finish on with agendas and then I will get to that. So really what I learned in sending an agenda a couple weeks in advance is the fact that I can see insights into what my partners are thinking in terms of what's on their mind, so you don't get blindsided in a review. Reggie asked me to talk about kind of where Lifecycle came to be. So I was actually a high school math teacher, so the usual path to startup CEO. In doing that, I ended up presenting a software product for educators in front of the owner of that company, that then thought I should come run customer success for a software, an assessment platform in education. That platform got acquired 4 times to where it became the largest ed tech company in the world. And I was running customer success. Some of the developers and I were looking around for a project of our own. So we had built our own customer success program within the company, but we really liked the software space and we were looking for a project to work on. I have played volleyball for 25 years with my other business partner, whose name's Alex Farling, who was an MSP for 16 years. And one night after volleyball, I said, are there any good problems in the land of managed services that need solving? And he said, yeah, I spent 6 hours today cobbling together a business review, a QBR document. And he felt like it wasn't automated. And he had a sign over his desk that said, if you have to do something twice, automate it. And he had failed miserably at that for the business review. He felt it wasn't professional looking, that he was delivering kind of a hodgepodge of reports. And he felt like those reports were very tactical about patch statistics and spam statistics and how many antiviruses they've antivirused, et cetera. And he wanted to find a faster way to do better business reviews. So that's how Lifecycle came to be. So I had been delivering business reviews in my world, and then we came to the world of MSPs to see how to deliver them here. So, and then an important piece of that is the automation component that you can do in the world of managed services when you have PSAs and other integrations that you can use to pull the data. So great question to ask. Thank you. So back to kind of what we're going to include in that business review and how we're going to automate to get there. So we talk about sending over an agenda in advance, but this is going to do more than just get what's top of mind for them in terms of, are there tickets that are bothering them? If they are, you should definitely deal with them before you get to the business review itself, right? This is an opportunity to turn any customer satisfaction problems around before the business review. But the other piece is to really set the stage that this is going to be a strategic meeting, not a tactical meeting about patch stats, et cetera. If you think about where business reviews came from originally, when folks went from being at their clients' offices on the regular to do things like patching and fixes. Business reviews weren't as needed because you were regularly in contact with your partners. But as soon as you were able to do the work remotely, there was that disconnect in the relationship because you were managing all of the work by remote. And so the business reviews came away to really show them the value that you were bringing to them. At the time, computers didn't naturally update their own, patch themselves and update operating systems, et cetera. So those were the things that were typically delivered originally in business reviews. But over time, I'm well aware every morning my computer tells me whether or not it has updated itself and patched itself. So businesses now expect as a baseline that you are doing those things, that my viruses have been antivirused and my spams have been anti-spammed, and that my patches have been patched. So you need to be able to deliver value in a business review, and that value is in the strategic consulting that IT business owners bring to businesses. In today's world, nearly every business is run by technology. So you are really business consultants that help drive better business for your clients. So putting questions on the business review around, are you expanding or contracting? What are things that you're doing manually? Where are employees wasting time that you feel like you could help automate? What are 3 things you could wish technology could do for you? Those are the types of questions you want to project that this is what we're going to talk about in the business. What are your business goals? Because we're going to help you get there. If you think about the fact that if they're expanding locations, right, there are a lot of technical needs that happen with a company when they're expanding. And if you can help them project what those needs are, you really become a strategic partner with them. So this agenda should help, again, project the fact that this is going to be a value-driven meeting and not just sort of a historical autopsy of tickets gone well or gone poorly. The business review itself, we think that there are a lot of supporting pieces of evidence that help to drive the business review, but you're going to report out on 3 key areas. One of which is the budget, right? So to have both a short-term and a long-term total cost of ownership budget is very powerful. In the short term, they need to know what projects are going to be, they're going to be involved in, which of their staff members may be involved in getting new laptops, right? There could be some change in schedules for a bit, but strategically, long term, to be able to deliver a business review for the or budget rather for the next 5 years, so that you can really say, okay, let's take a look at the budget. We know we've got some servers coming due in 3 years. How are we going to account for that? You want to get out of the business of blindsiding them with your servers due this year. We've got a $10,000 expense you weren't expecting, to a proactive stance where that they see this coming, and you have conversations with them in advance about how they're going to manage their budget. We work with one consultant who likes to tell his partners that budgets don't get cut, expenses get cut. So if you are helping them build their technology budget, they will then learn to work within the confines of that budget, as opposed to having kind of a break fix mentality on their budget, even if they're going with your managed services, right? It also, by delivering them a budget in advance, gives them permission to say yes to the next meeting, because they know what to expect and you're not going to blindside them. That way they don't see the meetings as sales calls. They truly see them as strategic meetings. The other piece you want to deliver, well, there are two other pieces, but the next piece you want to deliver in a business review is an assessment. So this is really delivering the risk that you have found within the organization. As a matter of fact, we have people ask us all the time, how can I get my clients to understand that this risk is their risk, and that something needs to be done about it, without having that FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt factor that doesn't feel good when you're selling. And one of the lines we like to use is, how would you like to address the risk that we have uncovered in your business? That definitely says, this is your decision, this is your risk, and what's your comfort level in doing this, and how would you like to address it? Again, setting up that strategic conversation. And then the project summary is really where you can define recommendations on how to remediate the risk that that you have found for them. So this is really where the MSP becomes the business consultant and says, we're going to solve these risk problems with these particular remediation projects. And I'll show you what that looks like inside of Lifecycle Insights. Lastly, so again, at the top of the slide, we have the start, the finish, and the strategy. The strategy is the whole flow of the business review, and how helping your clients hit their business goals is a strategic conversation that they want to have, and why the QBR is strategic. Really wraps up with the finish with the executive summary. If you think about, folks remember what they hear first and what they hear last. It's important to be able to summarize for a very busy exec who's probably Zoom hopping like everybody else, right? And has 6 more calls to take that day, to have a takeaway of, this is what these are some summary stats of what we found in your environment. These are the updates on what we're working on. These are your top priorities, and our recommendations, is a great way to address all of those pieces in a nice, tidy summary that they can walk away with and take action on, which is the key. Now, this doesn't all happen automatically, right? There's work to get these reports, and there are definitely some additional reports and inventories that you need to have to support a business review. So I've got a couple more screenshots of that, and then we'll dig into the platform and show you how you can build it fairly quickly. As I said, fast, but not furiously. So this is the tires and the gas, right? These are the technical pieces that we need. They're what make everything run, but they're not nearly as exciting to talk about as the rest of the business review. First, it's important to have insights into data quality. We need to understand if we're delivering all of the information that we need to deliver in a business review. At Lifecycle Insights, we have a focus on the data that you could be potentially missing. There are a few reasons you want to address this. First, if you're not reporting on it, then you're not able to patch it, you're not able to secure it, right? You could have aging devices that are security threats, et cetera. So it's really important to have a good view into all of the assets that are on site for a company. As a matter of fact, all of the cybersecurity frameworks and cybersecurity liability insurance policies are stating that you need to have regular asset inventories as well as user inventories. So those are two of the pieces of supporting documentation that you can bring along as kind of an appendix, right? This is information that a client needs to have access to, and one of the things we aim to automate for folks. The other piece is cybersecurity phishing training, right? They just had IT Nation Secure this week, and in the list of top 10 things you should do today, all of these pieces were on that list, including you need to guarantee that cybersecurity training, phishing training is happening. So to have reporting around that is another element you can use to report in a business review. So we're going to take a look at how Lifecycle Insights does this. So before I jump into the platform, let me talk a bit about some of our integrations. To work with Lifecycle Insights, you do need a primary integration, which is either IT Glue or any of the 4 PSA integrations that are on the second row there. So ConnectWise, Manage, Datto Autotask, Halo, or Synchro. This is clearly an old slide because they are not coming soon. They actually exist right now. So those are the pieces that we would need. You would need one of those right out of the gate, so we could grab your company's contacts and assets to deliver the initial, to populate the initial data. We then do warranty lookups through APIs with Dell, Lenovo, HP, Microsoft Surface, Cisco, Meraki, and SmartNet. So we'll do warranty lookups and refresh the data. And that's how we clean up the data to get a better data quality score for you. So I'll dig into Lifecycle Insights itself and take a look. I always say I'm Italian, so I don't consider it interrupting. I consider it participating. So feel free to put in the chat any questions that you have along the way. So as I mentioned, and this should look familiar because this is one of the screenshots that we had on the slide deck. We're aiming to give you insights into your data quality. It's one of the first pieces that's really quintessential in delivering a good business review. As we all know, bad data in means bad data out. We find that folks that have been in their PSA 10 years, 16 years, et cetera, often have some dirty data, and we want to make sure we help clean that up. So that's the intent of these data quality score tiles in the upper left-hand corner here. We're really aiming to see where you could be missing, not just opportunity, right? If you are missing end of life dates on a device, so you don't know when asset lifecycle management can happen for a device, you're missing an opportunity to sell a device, but also there's the security threat of an unpatched, unknown device, maybe, whose operating system hasn't been updated, that type of thing. So we really give you some insights into that to make asset lifecycle management easy, which is the first report that we automate for you. So as I mentioned, we aim to automate the pieces that can be automated and then deliver strategy for the pieces that can't be automated. So in the world of automation, it's asset lifecycle management. Now, if you've heard me talk or watched any YouTube videos, you've certainly seen me say that we have stoplight reporting, where red is bad and green is good, to give you quick insights into those assets. So we have a feature called swatching, where I can swatch away colors to really answer some questions inside the report. So I've got all my assets down the left-hand side, and let's take a look at my operating system. I can swatch away the colors I'm not interested in. So I take away the blue, the green, the yellow, and I'm left with, guess what, some Windows 7 machines that we really need to have updated. So I can make some recommendations from here, etc., and really take a look at answering this and other questions. Where have my warranties expired, but my devices are at or nearing end of life? Maybe they're the ones that I need to do asset refresh on. Or maybe where have my warranties expired, but my devices are not at end of life? This is maybe where I need to go and get manufacturer warranties, etc. We do let you automate this report. So if you want to schedule this report to send out monthly, weekly, annually, quarterly, whatever, to yourself or your partners, again, all of the cybersecurity liability or all of the cybersecurity frameworks really do state that inventories need to be done around this. So to have this documented and saved is critical for a lot of folks. Some folks, when they start, so if you have not been delivering business reviews and you think these are a lot of pieces that I need to get on board with quickly, a lot of folks start with the most critical assets with servers and workstations. And we'll let you filter that in the platform so that you can get those critical assets first, and then you can go start picking up the ancillary pieces as well. Again, continuing with automation is the user reporting. So here you can see we've got a lot of information about your users and which systems they are in. There are a lot of ways to supplement your data in Lifecycle Insights. So in addition to your primary PSA integration, we can pull from Microsoft 365, Breach Secure Now, Know Before, or LineGuard. We always have other integrations on the roadmap, but as far as user integrations, that is what we have right now, although you could load additional information from a CSV. I'm asked in the chat about RMM integrations. So we don't integrate with RMMs for a couple reasons. First, for folks that have a PSA and an RMM pushing to the same place, it ends up with a lot of dirty data. And second, the RMM is typically pushing this data to another source where it aggregates from multiple places. So we have a lot of folks, for example, that are in ConnectWise Manage that have Automate coming over, as well as assets that IT Glue picks up, etc. So we're really forcing folks to have a source of truth so we don't get duplicate data. And we want more data than just what the RMM finds. So pieces that are also manually added. So we do require one of those primary integration pieces. So I'm glad you asked that question. So we are grabbing all of these users. If you don't have one of the, let's say you didn't have a Breach Secure Now integration, you just would not see those columns. But folks ask questions here, such as, where do I have data not in, where do I have users that are not in my PSA that are in Microsoft 365? You can ask yourself the question, should we be charging for them and we're not? Or are those licenses that they're paying for that they don't need to be paying for? So there's two ways to think about this. And then as you look to the right columns, we've got a last activity date. I have this set to turn red if they haven't logged in 30 days. So I've got a lot of folks. Let's hope my demo site data is worse than yours. A lot of folks who haven't logged in over 30 days, many of whom have MFA disabled. So these are really those security threats to a company. We know the human element is the most popular way in for threat actors. So to be able to get a quick review of this and update this monthly is really critical. Our partners have said that this is a great first starter conversation if you haven't been doing business reviews, because it doesn't sound like a sales call. It's not a sales call. It's a security conversation. And folks know they need to clean this up. You might get them some savings, as I mentioned, and it's a good place to start, right? Good cyber hygiene is absolutely a strategic conversation to have. And when you're talking about users, it's something everybody in the company can kind of hold on to, as opposed to technical pieces that they might be less inclined to want to discuss. So this is a really good and important report to deliver to your partners. The other pieces, and I'll go through this fairly quickly, is if you have your contracts in your PSA, so in ConnectWise, these would be called your agreements and additions. We can import these so that we can start to outline what a full technology cost of ownership budget is going to look like. So here, when you pull over your managed service agreement, you're grabbing all of the information, all of the services that you are providing for your client. We also allow you to manually add additional services that maybe they're not paying you for: printer copier services, phone services, ISP providers, etc. This does a few things to drive value for the conversation. First, if they're using a phone provider that is not your preferred provider, you would get insight into when that contract is expired, and you could maybe ask if they were pleased with that and wanted to look at a different one that you were easily able to support and maybe get some kickback on. The other piece is when you deliver a full technology cost of ownership budget, you are then only a piece of that budget. They're not equating their technical expense with you to be their full technology budget, because they know it's broader than that. We have a lot of partners that add in their clients' line of business applications, their Salesforce or ERP systems, so that they can see how much of their technologies, how much of their business is impacted by technology. And it really broadens the conversation of why their technology consultant is really a business consultant for them. We had one of our partners recently who said that he went through this process with a prospect. So he spent the time to go pull in all of the contracts, and they found 17 phone contracts in a single client with multiple locations. They were able to consolidate that, save the company $3,000 in phone services. They obviously were strategic partners with them at that point. They felt like they were very committed to helping them. And then they also ended up selling a $4,000 a month MRR, managed recurring services for them. So this drives a lot of strategic value and partnership for you and them. So all of those pieces that we've talked about and any recommendations you make for them should drive a budget forecast for your partner. Again, I mentioned when we were talking at the beginning about having both a short-term budget and a long-term budget. So we have both a detailed view that really outlines every single workstation and contract or subscription, that they're going to have to pay for in the next quarter, month, year, whatever the billings, whatever the budget settings are set for, as well as we could do a 6-year budget. So I can grab a 6-year setting. And now I can see year over year when I'm going to have a more expensive year or a less expensive year. The value of this, again, if we're having that server conversation and we can say, I can see in 2 years it's going to be, a bigger budget year. Do we want to talk about moving some asset refresh management around to kind of level the playing field of that? If you think about all of the folks that when Windows 7 went end of life, that went and had to buy 40 devices, well, that's going to happen again when Windows 10 goes end of life. And they're not always prepared for that major sharp increase in expenses. So if you can find a way to level that out, talk about moving to the cloud, leveling out asset refresh and having a plan for that, it's really a strategic conversation and helps them move, think about their budget differently. And really, it makes for a more stable environment in general when your assets are kept up to date. So everything we've talked to until now has been the power of automation. So when I said about, Formula One and Fast and Furious, right, we're going to automate what we can, and then we're going to deliver strategy on top of that. These are the components that are automated. So the next piece, our assessment portion, is really about how you can help to deliver the conversation around risk to them in a consumable way. If you think about what CEOs know and understand, it is not always about all of that. What's an EDR? What's a BDR, right? All of these appliances, UPS. There are plenty of 3-letter acronyms that are bandied about the space that don't drive strategy for the business owner. They do, however, understand the concept of risk and security concerns. So to have an assessment that you can deliver to them that drives that point home easily is important. We offer probably a dozen sample assessment templates, and I'm just going to pull up our starter assessment. One of the things that we can do is, again, we'll give you assessments right out of the gate. So pre-canned, here are all the questions. And a lot of folks take that and run with it. We had a call this week with about half a dozen partners, and one of them said, I highly recommend just do it. Just go do one of the assessments, skip the questions that are irrelevant to you. They won't show up in the report anyway, and adjust from there, but really get it out the door, because this is all about iterative improvement. So our assessment platform is very flexible. You can create your own, you can add items, delete items, edit items, etc. But when I'm in here, you can see it's easy to score. I can just click in, grab the color code that's associated with where my clients are. And some things that are really helpful here is, as you do this over time, I can see all my previous responses. Many times, this customer success, sales, VCIO role in a company is the last thing that a business owner hands over to someone else, because there's a lot of relationship there and they have all the information in their head. if you start getting that information into the system so that you can record it over time and document the comments on what you want to do to address it, it's easier to hand over and scale. We also allow you to add scoring instructions. So a lot of folks cut and paste from their IT Glue, documentation platform, what their instructions are on how they're going to score it, and then explanation remediation tips. That's not just how to score it, but if this is red, this is what we're going to recommend to remediate that. You've probably seen the button, but maybe not paid attention to it. We have lots of places in the platform where you can create a PSA ticket. So you can open a ticket right from here as you're doing an assessment. If you realize, ooh, I wanted to address that right now, I can open a ticket, send it to the PSA where your technicians can start doing the work. So that's a pretty powerful piece in terms of your workflow. I mentioned that the value of delivering this report is really turning it into a picture for your client that they understand. So the red, yellow, green component of our reporting is key. Even if you don't read the words on this page, I think it's very obvious that the 75 and the 50 are not ideal. They're yellow. It's something around hardware and regulatory compliance. If I dig in, I can see for hardware why I've got a yellow score, because I've got some at-risk items. And then at the end of the report, I can include any recommendations that I made. So if I had made any public comments, they would show up here so that you can really drive the conversation. I'm going to pause for a second because I've got a chat that I want to answer live. And it says, how can we integrate this on a regular basis for customers to track themselves? So we have a couple means for this. If you're interested in tracking the asset lifecycle management piece, folks you can just schedule that to email to them monthly, and that will auto email. That's the only report that we have auto scheduled right now, although more are sure to come. We do have the ability to have security groups in the platform where you could give clients access to the platform itself. So you would create a security role for a client, limit it to just their tenant, and then you could give them read or write access, or both read or read write access to any page in Lifecycle Insights, any menu option. So on the left-hand side here, if you said, well, really, and we have quite a few customers that do this, a lot of customers give access to the asset list and the user list so the clients can see for themselves when things are expiring, or for the user list when folks have gone red. So a lot of folks give read access to that or let them update it. So you do have the ability to let them log right into Lifecycle Insights. We have single sign-on through Google or Microsoft. So that's one of the ways, or you can, again, the one report you can mail out, or you can always download a report and send to them. Hopefully, Keith, that gets you. If you've got more questions on that, let me know. The other piece inside the assessment that folks like to deliver is the assessment comparison. And so this is when I can say, I've delivered this assessment a couple times. Let's see how I moved the needle for you. So that is, if we were here at 58%, and I've moved the needle since last quarter to 91%. That's one way to have the conversation as you get the data in here. But another piece is that the assessment portion of our platform is free. So our subscription piece is really based on the automation component. So you're paying for the number of clients that you want the automated reporting on. And if you wanted to do unlimited number of assessments beyond that, you could. So you could do this with pre-sales. So a lot of folks give the same assessment 2 times and they deliver it the first time with status quo. So this is what I see in your environment today, and you're at a 58%. If you came and worked with us, we're going to move the needle to a 91% right out of the gate just by onboarding with us. A great selling strategy that we have heard in this conversation is to say, so your existing IT services have gotten you here, right? We would rate your technology health at 58%. We've worked with a lot of other partners similar to you in size, scope, vertical, whatever. And typically, in order to be able to address these priority concerns, it runs around $2,000 to $3,000 a month, to solve that problem. If I come back with a proposal in that range, can we still be friends? Do you want to work with me? What are you thinking? This is a great way to get the budget, which is often a struggle for MSPs to find a comfortable way to say, well, how much money were you planning on spending this, when the business owner is saying, well, I didn't want to spend any on it, but I have to. It's a great way to kind of bracket the conversation so that they know what to expect. They might say $3,000 a month. I wasn't planning on any more than $1,500. Well, you know what their limit is, and you can decide what you need to do with that information. If they say, oh, that's it, you can kick yourself in the tail for for undershooting that. Or if they say, okay, well, we could probably make that work, then you come in right in budget, and let them see that this is what we said we're going to do for the budget we mentioned. So that's a strategy that we've seen effective. So if you walk away with nothing else from this call, you've at least got a new talking point you can share. So any questions about the assessment portion before we talk about how do we show them how we want to remediate this from this assessment? Oh, absolutely. You can charge for this service. So we work with a lot of consultants. So results vary. Fair warning on this. We see folks sometimes say in the range of $2,500 for an assessment, but we'll say if you onboard with us, we will waive the assessment. So I've seen this conversation a couple different ways, and it definitely varies depending on what research you're doing in advance, right? And how much of the report you're delivering. But one of the things that you can do with this report is limit the reporting options to hide the category detail. So if you are in kind of an RFP or competitive situation, you could say, somebody might ask, you've done this business review for them, and they're trying to decide if they go with you or not. And you're thinking, well, I've already done the assessment, and I said, if you go with me, we would waive the fee, but how do I have that tricky conversation? And this is really where you could leave this behind and say, all right, this is what we're going to do for you. We know that you're talking to other folks, so feel free to share this. It means the other folks have to figure out what these pieces are. And the reality of it is that if we add the detail back, that's what they're paying for, is to know line item by line item what you're going to do to move the needle for them. So it's a way to kind of control the situation. You can show them what I'm going to do for you, but the leave behind hides the detail until they make that decision. So we absolutely see people charging for this. Like I said, we work with several coaching consultants who have different strategies on how much to charge for it. But I've regularly talked to folks to say they charge between $2,000 and $3,000 for an assessment. If other folks in the chat are doing these, feel free to chime in. We're always interested to see what other folks have done from it. So I've got a question about automated assessments. So we don't have any automated assessments in our platform. As I mentioned, Alex, my business partner who was an MSP, he often used rapid fire tools, network detector. We know there's cyber CNS and other tools out there that do scans. We also know that they often bring a 700-page report that no CEO is going to plow through. So what folks are doing with that is taking that report and distilling it down to 7 questions of the priorities of the findings. So we don't do this scan ourselves. What we're hoping to do is give you the ability to deliver a condensed strategic view instead of all those technical pieces. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm now going to take a look at what you do once you have found that there are some risks. So you can go into one of the assessments or any number of the assessments and I'll just grab some of the at-risk items and say, I've prioritized these 3. They're kind of going together. I'm going to create a recommendation from this. So one of the goals of Lifecycle Insights is to help you have the strategic conversation instead of the technical one. And the technical one sounds like, well, you've got some Optiplex 750s that are expired, and we've got flux capacitors and petaflops and blah, blah, blah. So instead, if we talk about, we've got these 3 at-risk items that we just discussed, and we're going to solve that problem by eliminating these assets that have expired operating systems. You're now tying those 2 together for them. So they're understanding that the business risk can be solved by eliminating these devices. You could add labor costs, material costs, recurring costs, et cetera, to solve this situation. And this will also push to the budget. So the key here is that once you've built these recommendations, you can say, here's one version of the budget, and here's another with our recommended projects, right? So we can resolve these additional issues. And we've got it budgeted out for you. So there's a lot of power in those recommendations. And that's really where the prowess of an MSP comes to light. You are not just identifying that they have that risk, you are in fact showing them how you're going to solve for that and remediate for it. That is when you are the business consultant. And that's the powerful conversation that you can have with them. The whole goal of Lifecycle Insights is to get this out the door for you as fast as possible, as consistent as possible, and as formatted as professionally as possible. So we have the notion of report builder, which is basically your way of being able to create an easy button of these reports that you want to deliver to your client. One of the things I talk about all the time is segmenting your client base. Not everybody's going to get a true quarterly business review. Everybody deserves a business review, but it might not be the same type. So you might have those high value, high effort clients that you're going to meet with quarterly, and you're going to have those low value, low effort clients that you're maybe going to meet with yearly, and maybe it's an email. So how can I set up a template so that whichever of those they are, I can deliver the same consistent piece? So we have the ability in Lifecycle Insights to build n number of templates. So you can build this however you would like. But here's kind of the full fleshed out, a biggie big quarterly business review. So I've got the agenda, the executive summary. You can see on the left-hand side, I'm scrolling through these similar to a PowerPoint slide deck. So it kind of works the same way. And the beauty of it is once I've built this report and my template, which is a collection of all the reports on the left-hand side, when I switch from Creative Designs to Get Well Medical Company, you can see that it just rebuilds that whole stack of reports. I, of course, will have to do an assessment for Get Well Medical Company, but if it's already pulled my asset information over, it can build the budget straight away. I've got my recommendations, and then I've got the ancillary reports. So if you think about when I had the slide deck at the beginning, right, I showed the beginning, the start to the finish and the strategy. And then later I had those ancillary supporting documents. I've got those ancillary supporting documents at the end of the report in case they do want to see that information. I've got a high level ticket summary. If I grab all of them, I've got a high level ticket summary that I can include. I've got my cybersecurity phishing training results, which I may reference, but I'm not going to go line item by line item through all of these pieces. I even include their recommendation roadmap in case they want to look at other projects. Maybe they've got some end of year spend down money that they can use. I can download this to Word, which will format it nicely that I can print out, or I can put it in presentation mode. And in presentation mode, this basically saves you the pain of having to build a PowerPoint slide deck. So it does a modal over top of the platform, so you can kind of hide some of the behind the scenes piece and really just talk through your presentation. That said, while you're in the presentation, if they say, wait, I've got 5 workstations that I'm paying for next year, what are they? You can still dig in and operate within the platform. So that's the goal, is to be able to deliver strategy easily and quickly. And so we hope we've delivered that today. So I've had quite a few questions, but I'm happy to answer more if folks have them. I definitely didn't click on all of the buttons, but I clicked on many of them. So what's everyone thinking? Any questions? While I wait for questions in the chat, I will pull up our pricing page to talk about what that looks like. If you're thinking, well, that doesn't look bad, I'd like to give it a shot. We have a 30-day free trial for up to 5 or 25 active customers. So these two are both 30-day free trials. I will put this link right in the chat if anybody's interested. Everything that I talked about today is in this left-hand package, the VCIO package. So everything is included in there. This right-hand package, some folks tell us that they just want the asset reporting, the warranty lookup piece for all their clients. So that is unlimited clients, $79 a month. If you already have VCIO, the asset lifecycle management is already included for those clients in this package. So you don't need to add that onto it. This is just, some people get this a smaller VCIO package and then do warranty lookups for everybody else. Yeah, so I like the comment. So clear data is clearly important. Yes. Is there documentation best practices to help get to the clean data? Absolutely. Love that you asked the question because I forgot to point this out along the way. First, we have lots of ways to do onboarding with us. So we've got the do-it-yourself model with a checklist right within the platform. And in here, we've got, I don't know if you can see down here, asset data cleanup. So we've got 5 documented steps on what to do to clean up your data. We also have a knowledge base where we have in our welcome article, a 30-minute video on those data cleanup steps. And then we have a regular cadence. So we have a 4-week cadence for onboarding, which is group onboarding, where week 1 is all about data cleanup and how to clean that data. And we're always happy to do one-on-one conversations. If you're like, no, really, my data's a mess. Can you help me work through this? We're happy to jump on calls. So yes, more than happy to help you with your data cleanup. So I'm reading now, Keith, the customers following the ITIL process, how can this tool help me meet their criteria? What tools compete with your tools? And is that you on YouTube? Yes, that's definitely me on YouTube. We have lots of videos on the Lifecycle Insights MSP website, YouTube channel, so that you'll find me there. And so what tools compete with our tool? So let me go back into the platform and I'll tell you the answer to that. I'll go to the pricing page. That's probably the easiest way to do it. So the Asset Insight Reporting Tool, our largest competitor there is ScalePad. So Warranty Master or ScalePad. They do warranty lookups. One thing that they do that we do not do is sell third-party warranties. So we just do the end-of-life reporting. They sell the third-party warranties. So they compete here. Strategy Overview has the full assessment package. So they are competitors in that regard. And then there are Audit for IT also competes in the full assessment package. And then Narmada.cloud, Propel Your MSP, VCIO Toolbox, are kind of competitors. They have a good bit of what we do. There are some places where they don't have a few of the reports. And then Managed Services Platform competes with the assessment portion. And then My IT Process, True Methods. The 2 last platforms that I just mentioned don't have the automated components. So that's typically why folks would prefer Lifecycle Insights there. We're the only people in the space that have a customer success platform, so we don't have any competitors there at all. So Keith, did that get you? Where are we hosted? So we are, yes, no, absolutely fair. Where are we hosted for compliance requirements? So we are AWS, all in the United States. All of our employees are in the United States, and we're happy to share our security doc with you if you have more questions to make sure that we follow all the rules you need followed. Happy to share that. You're welcome. All right. And if there are no other questions, I'll wait for a minute and see if anybody else is frantically typing, trying to hit reply before I before I stop sharing. But I thank you all for joining today. We hope you're able to do a fast but not furious QBR. Do I have a competitive matrix? Keith, if you give me an email, I will happily ship you some information around that. Absolutely. There's a sales rep you can connect with next steps. Let me put in our booking link in the chat. I'm glad you asked that. So here is our booking link. So if you want to jump on a call, you can just grab that. That'll get you a demo. And I'm copying down. Keith, I will be in touch. And then anybody else that wants to book a chat with one of our sales folks, we are happy to chat anytime. And again, we've got the free demo or the free trial. So you can grab a demo first and then trial, or trial and we'll demo and walk you through it at the same time. However you would like to do it, we're game. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. Appreciate the time and hope everybody has a great afternoon. I will be sure to send the recording out. Bye-bye.